One of my longtime dreams was to be able to wield a lightsaber. And since, they don't really exist yet, I was so excited to play the Vader Immortal series. Unfortunately, it was divided into 3 episodes and fed out to the world slowly, but now you can play all 3 back to back in one epic Star Wars saga that still isn't very long. It's about 1.5 hours in total for the story, but think of it more of a Star Wars movie in VR, and then it seems about right. And a bonus is being able to go back into the lightsaber dojo and perfect your skills as a Sith. As episode 2 did, episode 3 picks up right where the last one left off. Darth Vader decided he no longer needs you and discards you like a piece of trash, throwing you down a pit with a Rancor. Now it's up to you to stop Vader from using the Eon engine and destroying the planet. You start by sending your robot companion to fix a ship, and then you go with the priestess to find the army that you will need to take on Vader's. I love using the Force in this game, so the next part, where you have to essentially take out these used crystals and put in unused ones, kind of like fuses, was awesome, and it showed how gentle you can be while using the Force. After you ascend to the necropolis, you meet your army and are told only your light sword can control it. You have to use gestures to awaken the horde, and as soon as you do, Vader's forces break in, and it takes little effort to get rid of them. You just have to point with your sword at the enemies, and the army will shoot them down. It's fun, but over way too quick. And then the priestess directs you to transfer the army's control to her. I really would have liked to see this go on longer and maybe have the army with you for your own little mini campaign before you have to give them up. But, it was fine. Zoe fixes the ancient ship, that's your robot, and you hop on to make your way to Vader. Along the way, you encounter more stormtroopers, and this is really where you first get to use your force powers in a fight. This is always my favorite, deflecting blaster fire with your lightsaber and using your force grip to throw enemies around. It's just good old-fashioned family-friendly fun, When you land, you see your army at the gates and have to sneak into Vader's base and open them up. After you dispatch a few enemies and a couple TIE fighters, you find your ship and find an awesome mounted gun. You then use your lightsaber to defend yourself and take down a TIE fighter piloted by Vader's Admiral. Still, one of my favorite parts of the story is that your robot friend is voiced by Maya Rudolph from SNL and one of my favorite horror movies / documentaries, Idiocracy. You manage to open the gates, your army rushes in and takes over the place. Now it's up to you and the priestess to take on Vader. I'm just going to stop right here and say one more time that this episode is filled with spoilers. This is already deep into episode 3, but this is your chance to turn it off, walk away for just a couple of minutes if you don't want it spoiled for yourself because you know you're going to play this game. Any other Star Wars fans that probably aren't going to buy a $400 headset to play one Star Wars game, you can stay tuned and I'll spoil the end of this series for you right now. As you fight Vader and he throws you around like a rag doll, you learn he is somehow trying to use the Eon engine to bring back Padme. Vader rips your lightsaber out of your hands and throws it to the floor, and just as you are about to be sliced in half, the action freezes. The priest that's been with you throughout the story shows up and directs you to grab the sword and plunge it into the Eon engine, which causes an explosion and starts a cutscene talking about how you have saved the people of Mustafar and now their world can begin to heal. I have to say, I was a little disappointed I didn't get to take down Vader myself. After the cutscene, you wake up in your ship with Zoe and you discover that your light sword holds a star chart and it could lead to treasure. They then end the movie, game, VR experience, whatever you want to call it, by heading back into the stars to take part in the next adventure. After you finish, you can take part in the lightsaber dojo, which is so much fun and one of my absolute favorite parts of this game. You can put your skills to the test with multiple levels that let you take on battle droids, stormtroopers, and training bots. You can use your force powers, dual-wield lightsabers, and they even added grenades this time around that you can grab with the force. I would have paid $10 for the lightsaber dojo alone. The fact that I also get this amazing original story that lets me become a Sith in training is awesome and well worth the money as well. My only real disappointment is that I was told we would get to use Force Lightning in this game, and I was never able to. After Googling it, it appears that it's only available in a few levels of the lightsaber dojo, and only if you take down enough enemies in a certain amount of time. I was really hoping to use it during the main story. While I wish the story was longer, it's still fantastic and something every true Star Wars fan needs to experience. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say $400 for the Oculus Quest to be able to play this game for a true Star Wars fan shouldn't be that much of a stretch. Come on, we're talking the Lego sets that go for hundreds and hundreds and sometimes thousands of dollars, to memorabilia auctions where you can get maybe Vader's helmet upwards of, I think it went for 80 grand, didn't it, in the most recent auction? Really, this stuff's expensive, and $400 to be able to wield a lightsaber, I don't think that's too much of a stretch. And remember, if you hurry and get yours before the end of January, you can get all 3 episodes of the Vader Immortal series for free. Moving on to duck season for the Oculus Rift S. This is an amazing throwback to my childhood when we first got the original NES and we all sat around playing Duck Hunt. Now, I understand that Nintendo really doesn't play well with others, but they should have okayed a license to this game to have the original names and graphics. But as it is, Duck Season is a VR remake of Duck Hunt, just slightly changed to avoid legal issues. It's also a story-driven game that's set in the 80s about the boy playing the game, and allows you to look around his living room, read magazines, look at VHS tapes and game cartridges, all of which are spoofs of original content like the Nintendo Power magazines. Instead of Double Dragon, it was Triple Tiger, or Battle Brothers, where you play Spanish electricians and they have National Geographic, or whatever they call them in-game, everywhere around the living room. Again, the attention to detail is amazing. You're able to see the back of the knobs and circuit boards, turn back around, and have fun playing Duck Hunt in VR, complete with your hunting dog who brings the ducks back and puts them in the back of your truck. You start off learning how to use the weapon and reload it. Then you're able to start the game. Reloading takes a little bit of practice, but once you get the hang of it, it's fairly intuitive. Starting the game is just like the original. Shoot the prompt, and the ducks start flying. Instead of the ducks bouncing back and forth a few times off the sides of the TV like they did in the original, there are invisible walls. Ducks fly around and bounce back and forth off the walls a few times before flying off, giving you a decent chance to shoot them out of the sky. There are 10 ducks per round, just like the original, with 5 misses allowed, with a few surprises thrown in for good measure. My hope is this will give inspiration for other remakes of classics, like a VR Mario game, maybe a VR Mario Kart game, a VR remake of Sonic, maybe Metal Gear as well. Ooh, and Star Fox would be awesome in virtual reality. As it is, VR is becoming more and more popular, and more money is being thrown in that direction. If we can keep getting experiences with this much detail and polish, more people will want to try, and eventually all games should be playable in VR in some fashion or another. My advice to this experience: take your time. Enjoy the work that they put into this game and enjoy the story along the way. The gameplay is fun and exactly what it should be. Duck Season earns 5 out of 5 stars and is a must-play game if you're a child of the 80s.